I'm Jeff Koinange, and this is Jeff Koinange Live. Tonight, we're continuing our conversation of the week because the politics around here is heavy, coming in thick and fast. So when Mutahi Ngunyi shows up on the bench, you know you want to be sitting back, better yet, leaning forward, because this man calls it like he sees it. Political scientist who comes up with a hypothesis before he makes his conclusion. A few years ago, he told us about a phrase which came to be part of the regular parlance, if you will, the tyranny of numbers. He predicted that Jubilee would win the last election. We laughed. It came to pass. He's made a lot of other predictions since then. We're going to talk about those and the way forward. A few months ago, he was implicated in the NYS scam. In what way? We want to know. Did he receive money? Yes, for consultation. 38 million. He laughed it off. He says he's worth a lot more. How about the 192 million that Josephine Kabura claims that he got in that affidavit? Let's talk about this and many other issues plaguing our nation. Because as I always keep saying, the minute we stop talking is the minute we start fighting. And you know we don't want to go down that slippery slope. Plenty to talk about. Twitter handles are at Mutahi Ngunyi. Mine is at Koinange Jeff. The hashtag, you know it, tyranny of numbers. Sit back. Doctor.
Professor.
Professor.
Don't belittle my...
So in the 5 years that we have not met, you have gotten a professorhood. Mimi's in college.
Yes.
You got, you know, hundreds of millions of shillings from NYS, but that's another story.
Yeah.
We're going to get to NYS in a moment, Mutahi. But first, Ruto and Sang off the hook.
Yep.
Case terminated.
Yep.
Not acquittal.
Yep.
Case terminated.
Yes.
What does that mean?
I think the termination of the case basically means that all along this was a politically engineered situation. And the engineers are not in Europe. They are not at The Hague. The political engineers of that case are here. And they're expected to also be beneficiaries of the troubles and the turmoil that the two people were supposed to go through. And I think that we should use this particular moment not to even pontificate around whether or not a wrong was done to them or to the nation, but use it to begin to have conversations around why we must never go back to that place again.
Yeah. Those people who you claim were behind it all.
Yeah.
Did they lose hope? Did they lose momentum? What happened? Because they were determined that someone should go down. They were determined one of the six or two of the six, Ocampo 6 original, should go down.
The scheme had nothing to do with the six. The six, the four of the six were only but decorations around these two guys. They were meant to target Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta. Everybody else around them was merely a detail. But now that scheme has collapsed. Yeah. And I think the point is, if we focus more on the collapse of a scheme and fail to see the bigger picture regarding how this particular failure can lead us to a situation of reconciliation, then we'll end up missing the point, my thinking.
Yeah. 5 years ago when you and I last spoke, you had said the two people who deserve to be in The Hague were the two core principles of the last administration. You still stick to that?
You know, I just was charged a goat the other day, so I'm very careful to go there. But in my thinking, Ruto and Uhuru never ran for presidency. And as a result, I do not even know why they were put there. The people who were behind the groups that fought were Mwai Kibaki, your uncle, and Raila Odinga. In my view, they are the ones who should have been on that particular list. And you also do recall that Raila's name was on the original human rights document, as we are told. We cannot confirm or disconfirm it, but it's been claimed in the media. And I think that the people who should have been on the Ocampo list, in my view.
Yeah. What happens now, Mutahi? We move on? Is it time to move on? Because a lot of people who are saying, okay, so justice delayed it is justice denied according to the victims?
I think the victory of Ruto in this particular case it marks the last part, the last component of generational succession. Because you see, Uhuru and Ruto have led generational succession that has lasted for 3 years. Do recall, they were sworn in April, pretty much around this time. Mm-hmm. They have lost a whole 3 years. And generational succession, it's pretty much like Uhuru was the first twin that emerged from the birth, and Ruto was the second one that was just born the other day. And this marks the end of generational succession, which means that it is not possible for us to reverse this succession. When a child has been born, and in this particular case it's twins, you cannot negotiate for their return, which means that the case is over for your friend, the Tingaman.
It's over.
I think it is over.
He can't win the next election.
He will not win the next election. I have argued here severally with you the last 5 years that he is slow punctured, and I think he will not win purely on account, this time round, on account of generational succession.
Yeah. Real quick, there's a headline in the Nation newspapers a couple of years ago where former Prime Minister did say Uhuru and Ruto deserve to be in jail.
Yeah.
When the verdict came out the other day, he was one of the first to congratulate Ruto. Did you read in between those lines?
Well, of course, one of the schemers, hypothetically, we can say, and if I was him, I would be a schemer in this particular situation, could have been Raila Odinga. I mean, if I were him, I would have organized for these two guys to be locked up, to deserve to be in jail. So that then I have a field day.
Yeah.
And I think for him to contradict himself is nothing unusual, because politicians are known to exist exactly like so. They think with their mouths open, and a lot of the time they will lie when they have to, even deal with the devil directly.
Speaking of these two, are they now joined at the hip? The president and his deputy, are they joined at the hip all the way to 17 and beyond?
Yes, these two are joined at the hip, and they always were. We hypothesized on this 5 years ago and actually said that they have to hang together or they'll be hung separately. This time round they have no choice but to stay together, and more so because, and I have argued this also, Ruto has the responsibility of liberating the Gema nation. Liberating them from the history, conjuncture history that has been weaved around them. It has been argued in the past that the Kikuyus cannot vote for anybody else. And I think that if he sticks with Uhuru, then the Gema nation will have no choice but to vote for him. And I have also argued in the past that if Raila had stuck with Kibaki, today he would be president, but he became too impatient. He wanted to become president much faster, and now he's in the political cold. So if Ruto can stick with Uhuru, then the Gema nation has no choice but to go with him in 2022.
Yeah. Do they still have the tyranny of numbers?
Tyranny of numbers hasn't changed at all. It has not changed at all. I was hoping actually that Raila would register voters massively, and as a result he would increase the numbers, but it hasn't changed at all. Instead, what Raila has registered is about 500,000 people.
Yeah.
And the difference between them was phenomenal when I crunched the numbers. Yeah.
Let's switch gears, Mutahi. We'll come back to 2017 outlook, and I'll be asking you who's going to be matched with whom, and of course the snubbing of Wetangula's date the other day with Destiny. That was pretty cold, but we'll get back to that in a moment. Let's come back to the National Youth Service.
Yes.
You were a consultant for the Devolution Ministry.
Yes.
You got money for consulting for them.
Yes.
The Star claimed it was 38 million. You laughed it off. You threatened to take them to court.
I actually threatened, the reason being that actually that was undervaluing my company, and I argue that we work in 18 countries. We were contracted for a period of about 2 years in total. That's 24 months. We were paid 40 million as the first contract. Second contract we were paid 50 million. In total we were how many? We were about 15 consultants, And it calculates, or it comes down to about $116 per day per consultant, which is much lesser than what the UN pays African consultants. So basically, we did a lot of pro bono work for government. In fact, they owe me some money. I need to go and look for it.
And the 192 million that Josephine Kabura claimed in affidavit?
Josephine Kabura did not claim in her affidavit, if you read it, that I was paid 192 million. No. What she said was that we were a cabal of 5 guys who conspired to do this particular crime, and that the theft was 791, but what was paid to me was 1.5 million. That's what her affidavit says, 1.5 million. Then I asked a question, Jeff. I am a good Kikuyu, trained by my mother to respect money and to respect my worth. If we have done a situation like this and we make 791 million, then you give me 1 million and you keep 790 million, you are insulting my Kikuyuness. If I can sue her for insulting my Kikuyuness, I would love to do that.
Do you know her?
No, I don't know her.
Never met her?
I have never met her. And I have said in the past I would actually want to meet her because she's either a genius or she's been created by a genius. But I also would want to meet her as a specimen of study, because I think this woman is phenomenal. She should, if I don't study her, I think she should also be studied by NASA or one of us. She's a phenomenal...
But she claims you were in the room with the former devolution CS. She says you were making decisions. You even advised the former CS to write a memo and backdate it. This is what she was saying.
You see, the problem with our country, and when we talk about corruption also is something we need to know, is that there's a lot of political engineering. And political engineering is done around legal instruments. And it is done to use an instrument that is legitimate to make a claim that is illegitimate. Now, for Kabura to have made the claim that she did, and for us to believe that she is right, I think that itself is a misnomer. Was I in this room with her? No. Did I go to C.S. Waigoro's house occasionally for meetings? She held meetings in her house all the time. And I was there many times with many types of people, both from the government and from different arenas. But Kabura, I never met her. I would actually want to meet her. If you can organize for me to do so. Really, for me to be able to do psychoanalytical study.
You'd be happy to?
I'll be very happy to do so. Yeah.
You defended Anne Waiguru vehemently in the beginning. Before you distanced yourself, you defended her. Why?
You know, I believed in Anne Waiguru completely. She gave us very thoroughgoing leadership when it came to implementing the agenda that His Excellency had given to us on NYS. And I could not believe that it was possible for her to have been implicated in a scandal of this nature, number one. Number two, Anne Waiguru and her PS did not see eye to eye a lot of the time. So the PS was the one who was signing things. So I did not see how it was possible for her to be implicated in this kind of scandal. And the PS was not in it. Anne Waiguru and Gidenji were also always the loggerheads. And I did not see how it was possible for them to have sat together. The 3 of them conspired to steal money. And so that's why I actually defended her repeatedly.
Do you regret that?
Later I asked myself, especially after Josephine came out, I asked myself, what if I'm wrong? And I said, what if it is possible that there were many other players who were involved in this particular charade and I did not know about it. And at that particular point, that's when I said, I actually don't know her. I only know her clinically, which is true. Whenever we went for meetings at her office and at Harambe House, she always told everybody that, guys, this man is not my friend. This man is a consultant that has been sent to me to help me. And I realized at that particular point I'm only defending her because I'm her consultant. But now that she has ceased to be in garment, there's no point in doing so.
Yeah.
But do I regret defending her? I believed in what I said then.
Do you still believe that?
Right now, I don't know what to believe in, to be honest with you. I am no longer sure. I am very suspicious of everybody.
She wants to be governor of Nairobi.
She'll make a brilliant governor of Nairobi. But before we go to Governor of Nairobi, I need to say something about NYS. That I think there is a sense in which we lost something very important in that corruption scandal. And I, for the record, I advised her 4 times by way of emails which I've given to EACC. And on EACC, by the way, again, I am the one who called them and I said I have information to give to you. And I went to them and I gave them information. I've given them emails that I sent to her, giving her counsel, telling her the way I'm seeing things going on here, money could be getting lost. We need to do audits, and I even offered to give auditors from my team. But with time I was told, your job is not to fight corruption. Your job was to implement the vision that I put together.
That's what they said. That's what she said.
That's what I was told. That's the instruction I received. And so I even gave similar instruction to my 15 consultants. I said, look, we're not fighting corruption, guys. We're here to basically do what we were asked to do, to implement the 5-point vision. So in the long run, what has happened is that that narrative has taken away from the good work that we set out to do on NYS. For example, Kibera, the young people we were working with, by the time we left, had saved 300 million shillings. Right now, as we speak, I'm told they have saved 1.2 billion shillings. Now, that is out of a saving of 141 shillings every single day. And for us to focus on the money that was stolen, and I think the people who stole it should be put on a firing squad, in my view.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
Including White Guru if she's guilty?
We need to deal with them cacophonously, in my view. But for us to focus on that and to remove attention on the good work we were doing, that is a form of political engineering I'm talking about. And that is happening because somebody did not like the way the ground was shifting, the way it was changing against them.
But if they hadn't stolen that money, Mutahi, and you saw, you just said you could see that money was being stolen. If they hadn't stolen that money and kept to the 5-point plan, that would have been another deal altogether. Let's talk about that after the break. I mean, why? I mean, what is it about us that we are genetically, is it in our DNA to steal? Is that what it is?
I need to tell you that because I have a hypothesis about stealing.
Good. Hold the thought, Mutahi. Hold that thought. But did you steal?
Me, no. Now, how can I steal and then go home and tell my wife that here is 1.5 million that I have stolen from NYS? I mean, how would I justify myself to Mimi?
Yeah.
I made a lot of good money. I didn't need to steal, and I still make a lot of good money.
Yeah.
I don't need to be enticed by the amounts of money that they say that I do.
The professor is in the house, as in Professor Mutahi Ngunyi, the man with the hypothesis, the political